got straight on a plane to return. Seeing my wife have to be her strongest and knowing that it's the scariest of news.
For more than 30 years, Brad Pitt has been the golden face of Hollywood. The movie star who seemed carved out of sunlight. The man whose smile could set off 1,000 magazine covers. The actor who became a symbol of American masculinity itself. But behind the cameras, behind the red carpets, behind the roles that made entire generations fall in love, was a man searching endlessly for something the world assumed came naturally to him. Love, real love, lasting love, the kind that anchors a soul and settles a restless heart. And only now, after decades of public heartbreak, scandal, and reinvention, Brad Pitt is finally letting the truth slip out. Quietly, carefully, about the one woman he truly loved, the one whose absence he still carries, long after the cameras went dark. To understand why, we must go back to the beginning, before the fame swallowed him whole. Brad Pitt did not grow up in glamour. His early life in Missouri was church benches, open fields, and the kind of quiet that makes young men dream louder. He was raised with discipline, faith, and a seriousness about life, things that would later collide painfully with Hollywood's chaos. When he arrived in Los Angeles in the late 80s, he wasn't Brad Pitt, the phenomenon. He was Brad, the kid who slept on friends' floors, who drove around delivering refrigerators, who scraped by while believing, stubbornly, fiercely, that something bigger was waiting for him. And in those early years, before the world claimed him, he fell in and out of small romances, fun, fleeting, uncomplicated. But none of them reached deep, because Brad Pitt, for all his beauty and swagger, was a man built for attachment, a man who loved seriously, not lightly, which is exactly why his first real heartbreak changed the course of his life. Long before he married Jennifer Aniston, long before Angelina Jolie, there was Juliette Lewis. They met when he was still an unpolished actor and she was a wildfire of talent. Young, brilliant, unpredictable. Their relationship was intense, artistic, raw in the way only two dreamers colliding at the start of their careers can be. Years later, Brad would say something most men would never dare admit. I still love the woman. That was one of the greatest relationships of my life. He didn't say that about Gwyneth, not about Angelina, not even about Jennifer publicly. He said it about Juliette. But the truth was harsher. Brad was rising too fast, and Juliette wasn't ready for the shadows that come with fame. And so, they broke. It was his first lesson that love, no matter how bright, is not always enough. The world remembers Brad and Jennifer Aniston as perfection. They were the couple that made marriage look easy. Two golden children of Hollywood standing hand in hand like America's prom king and queen. But the truth was quieter, sadder, more human. Behind the jokes and the tabloids, Jennifer loved stability. Brad loved expansion. She wanted a home, children, traditions. Brad wanted adventure, risk, movement, and a kind of emotional depth he didn't yet understand. But here's the part the public never saw. He adored her, deeply, sincerely, respectfully, even when he left, even when the world called him the villain. Because Jennifer wasn't just a wife. She was the one person who saw the man behind the myth, the insecure, restless, searching soul he hid from everyone else. Years later, when Brad was asked how he felt after losing her, he didn't hide. We have a lot of life together that isn't erased. Translation, she mattered, more than the world ever knew. Then came the firestorm. Angelina Jolie, sexy, fierce, unapologetic, everything Brad thought he wanted to become. Their chemistry was real. too real, and the world watched as they built a family, a global empire, a mythology. For a time, they were untouchable. But the thing about fire is simple. It burns everything, including the people who worship it. Their love was intoxicating, but it demanded pieces of Brad he didn't know how to give. Constant travel, global activism, emotional intensity, unlike anything he'd experienced. And when the crash finally came in 2016, it was nuclear. Accusations, investigations, leaks, lawyers, a private jet argument that tore their home apart. Children caught in the middle. A man once worshipped, now dragged across every headline like a villain from a story he didn't write. And Brad, stripped of the image he had built, stepped into the hardest chapter of his life. Therapy, sobriety, silence, reflection. In 2020, the world got a glimpse of something no one expected. Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston reuniting backstage at the SAG Awards. It wasn't planned. It wasn't staged. It wasn't PR. It was real. A quiet smile, a gentle touch on the wrist, a softness in the eyes that no scandal, no divorce, no new relationship could erase. It was two people who had walked through fire, separately and together, finally meeting again, without anger, without shame, without the weight of the world's expectations. Brad looked at her the way a man looks at a memory he never stopped carrying. Jennifer looked at him the way a woman looks at someone she has forgiven long before the world knew it. And Brad's friends, quietly, off the record, began to say what fans had suspected for 2 decades. Jennifer was the love he never got over. The one he didn't know how to protect at the time. The one he speaks of with a softness no other woman receives. Today, Brad's life looks different. He is with jewelry designer Inez de Ramon, calm, intelligent, private. She brings peace into his life, something he chased for years through fame and chaos. But even now, even in this new chapter, Brad doesn't pretend. Jen and I will always have something. It's not erased. It is the closest he has ever come to admitting the truth. He loved others passionately. He loved others recklessly. But only one woman loved him gently, steadily, without trying to change him. Jennifer Aniston. She is the one whose absence became the measurement for all the women who came after. She is the love that did not explode, but endured. She is the woman Brad Pitt finally admits he loved not with fire, but with soul. Will they ever reunite? Should they? Nobody knows. Maybe even they don't. But here's what is certain. Brad Pitt learned the hardest lesson a man can learn. That success can fill your home, but leave your heart empty. And that sometimes the greatest love of your life is the one you walked away from before you were wise enough to understand what you had. And maybe that's why their friendship today feels sacred. Two people who have hurt, healed, and grown, standing side by side again. Not as lovers, but as something possibly even stronger. Two souls who finally see each other clearly.